Hey everybody, welcome to our accountability call. As always, I'm Adam Ringler, and if you're just tuning in, I've been a strength coach for almost 20 years, and it's my responsibility. I feel it, my responsibility and kind of my passion to bring what I've been doing for the last 20 years to you, this YouTube community, our former athlete society, and essentially all of us that could benefit from the tools, the tactics, the habits, the disciplines of what it takes to be successful in elite performance for the everyday person. So, as always, every Tuesday I run these accountability calls, and it is where I share what's up here in my head as far as what I think moves the needle to allow you to be a better human being when it comes to your performance, your fitness, your health, and everything in between. If you've never joined me for one of our accountability calls, well, you're probably going to love it because this is where I give you all of the hacks, all of the tactics, all of the tools, everything that you need to be successful in order to leverage the best days. I always talk about your college playing days should not be your glory days. You have so much more that we can get into and untapped potential that is waiting for you. We just need to really harness it. So, as always, my name's Adam Ringler. Thanks for tuning in to our accountability call. And without further ado, let's just get right into what I want to share today because I got some things. The first topic, first hack that I want to give you, that I want to provide is this. I travel with the kitchen scale everywhere that I go. And I'll show you why it's a non-negotiable for me. So let me tell you why. Sometimes people, when I travel around, they lightheartedly ask me, hey coach, hey Adam, do you if I weigh my chicken at restaurants, do you do that? Yeah, of course I do. And here's why. During my undergrad and my graduate years, I learned the hard way that estimating your portion sizes was actually sabotaging any chance of consistent progress. I tracked my macros diligently, but my body weight, for whatever reason, would plateau. And sometimes it even crept upward. And the culprit was rounding my portions rather than, or my eyeballing my macros, eyeballing the weights, rather than actually really being diligent, really being precise. So fast forward now a decade or so, maybe more than a decade later, I travel with my kitchen scale everywhere I go. I keep it in my lunchbox. And because when you're traveling like a coach like myself or you're coaching, whatever, precision is a real edge. You have fewer distractions, your consistent habits, all of those things. And I don't want gravity to pull me backwards towards my baseline. Even during the weekends or travel days, I always bring it with me wherever I go. Now, this small piece of gear turned my calorie estimates from vague to exact. And soon enough, my body composition changed in the direction that I actually wanted it to go. So for that, obviously I was liking that direction of how things were going. Now, a couple things about it. I pair that precision scale with generally airtight 2-cup containers in this lunchbox. And after cooking or measuring my chicken, I rinse, I pat dry, I season, and then I weigh it. And I drop it into the container. If you've ever watched Bear, sort of The Bear, right, on FX, right, they got those little pieces of tape. I cut piece tape perfectly square, put it on my Tupperware, and then I have my macros. Hey, this is 215 grams of chicken breast. This is 218 grams of chicken breast, whatever it might be. That container becomes my go-to meal prep unit. And anywhere I go, it's the same setup. Scale in the bag, container at hand, macros preloaded mentally, and I just punch it into the application that I use. So on travel days, when I'm on the road, restaurants or buffets can derail a clean diet super fast. But if I weigh my protein portions ahead of time, I can still match my perks. I still hit my target grams of protein, fat, and carbohydrates by using that scale. Right? So items like nuts and Greek yogurt and cups of measured grains, all of that, that consistency keeps my TDEE stable and prevents overshooting my calorie and my macros. And then you pair it with, some type of training app, like as I've talked about in past shows. I end up using Macro Tracker, and I can estimate and have a general idea, a really precise idea, what my macros are every single day as I go through it. There's no second guessing. There's no guesswork to what I do. It is just precision when it comes to my caloric intake and my macros. Now, there's also maybe a psychological benefit too with this. And when you physically weigh your food before eating it, you're actually activating some mindfulness. Your brain internalizes, I'm committed to this intake. And that often helps curb pocket snacking, right? Is it a little bit more restrictive? Sure. But it's also really empowering. So one of my core rules in this calorie deficit is I never lower my protein first. I'll dip my carbs lower and then my fats, but my protein usually stays pretty darn high. And because of it, right, I start estimating my caloric intake and if I ever need to drop my protein. Now, I don't want to do that because I risk losing that lean muscle mass that I've worked so hard to actually get. And that's the opposite of what I want. So immediate action items, pack a kitchen scale into your lunchbox, ideally something that fits easily into something that you can carry with, right? A small cooler or lunch tote, and then maybe start weighing at least one protein meal daily, whether that's chicken, eggs, beef, tuna. Even those small habits compound over time. If you can take that and log it into your caloric tracker or macro tracker of choice, again, macro factor for me, you can watch that week over week trend and not just daily guesswork. Just to make it a little bit more actionable. This is what I'm talking about, guys. This is that lunchbox that I carry with me all of the time. Inside of it, as I look, here's the kitchen scale, right? Travels with me every single place I go. I keep it in here and I can track all of my macros 24/7. Now, I want to move on to a different topic, but before I do, just a couple things to remind everybody about what we're doing here. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell to our YouTube channel. We are growing this thing, the Former Athlete Society, and I want you to be a part of it. But you need to subscribe, right? You need to actually click into it, hit the notification bell. That way you get first access to all the videos and you are alerted when we drop, because we're dropping videos left and right all of the time. And I want you to be notified for those. So moving on, right? The second accountability mindset shift that I want us to think about. Everyone says consistency is key, but they forget the part where your nervous system starts to crave the gym like it's coffee at 6 a.m. So here's how training at the exact same time every day rewires your brain for elite performance. And let's dive in deep to what that actually means. So I want to walk through something that I found so incredibly valuable for me, for the clients I've worked with, for the former athletes and the current athletes as well, right? And that is, especially after years of working with athletes and now living life on the other side of their eligibility, this has helped every single one of them. When my schedule isn't chaos, and let me tell you right now, it's kind of chaos, but let's be honest, that's rare. But when I do get a clean stretch of consistency, I anchor everything around one thing, my training window. And that's the keystone habit that I keep. That's the appointment I build in my day, and I build the entire rest of the day around. I'm not waking up and seeing how the day goes. And if I do that, I already know, right? It's written, and it's so easy to skip workouts when you just sort of willy-nilly your workout, and nobody wants that, right? It just ends up making everybody furious. Now, when it's actually scheduled and it's in the calendar, that training block, it's as sacred as a flight itinerary or a surgery schedule. When I lock in that consistent time, let's say 3 p.m. or maybe it's 8 a.m., right? My brain gets sharp around that time. I start getting this low-key buzz of anticipation. I'm mentally more dialed in. My body is more prepared. And it's not a coincidence, right? There's a neurological adaptation that's happening. Your brain starts to wire itself around that expectation of movement. Of course, right, we have to be smart about it, right? The challenge and eventually the reward. It's no longer something I need to get motivated for. It becomes something my body and my mind wants. So let's get real detailed oriented with how you can make that switch. You got two major systems right now working in your favor when you train at the same time each day: your circadian rhythm and your hormone release. So let's talk about the circadian rhythm first, because I think that's important to dive into. Your body loves, right? Absolutely loves patterns, and it thrives on them, whether it's for digestion or cortisol spikes or even testosterone release. Your physiology leans on rhythm to perform at its best. And when you consistently train at the same hour, your body literally starts adjusting to prep for that output. Heart rate variability improves, blood pressure normalizes pre-workout, and your motor units become more efficient during the session. That's not just woo-woo fantasy land. This is real measured performance gain. Now, you layer in that sort of anticipatory hormonal response, and that's when things get crazy. When your body knows that training is coming up because you've built in the pattern, it starts firing off hormonal precursors before you even hit the gym. Dopamine up, adrenaline up, kicking in, right? Cortisol spiking right when it actually should be and not when it shouldn't be, right? And this stuff is trackable. In elite sport, we use things like wearable devices and blood panels to show how consistent training windows performance. And it affects your recovery too. But it's not just about discipline. It's about getting your biology to cooperate with your goals. But like everything else, here's the kicker. That predictability also improves your psychological readiness. If you've ever had a lifting session where your mood was trashed and everything felt like a grind, it could have been just because you were off schedule. Maybe your CNS wasn't ready. You hadn't primed it. There was no prep. There was no flow. Now, compare that to when your meals are dialed in and you've hydrated correctly. You've handled the stress of the day. Your pre-workout carbs are in. You've moved around already a little bit. Your nervous system is humming. And that lift probably hits different. Your brain's locked in. You're not distracted. Your focus is tighter. Your RPEs are more honest. And that's what we want. That's the big picture of what we're aiming for. It's more sustainable. It's less emotional. And you're not negotiating with yourself every day. You're just following the rhythm of what the day brings in your workout schedule. Now, this also applies whether you're in a deep cut, you're maintaining body composition, or maybe you're trying to chase new PRs. The physiology and the psychology both benefit when you stop leaving your workouts to chance and you actually start treating them like clockwork. So there's some immediate steps that you can actually take, right, to improve on these things. Here's how I would go about implementing this. First, pick a 60 to 90 minute window that you can realistically commit to for the next 4 to 6 weeks. Whether it's morning, lunch, your evenings, it doesn't really matter. What matters most is that it's consistent. Next, go to your calendar right now, iCal, Google Cal, whatever it is, and block that time off. Name it something like that matters, like training, war room, hour of power, whatever it is for you, your personal hour, whatever resonates. Then back your nutrition into that window, meaning that if you're training at 4 p.m., your meal should be designed to support that 4 p.m. training window. Maybe carbs earlier in the day, proteins anchored, your hydration is steady. And finally, respect that appointment. Don't ever cancel it. Shuffle it if you have to, right? If you must, but never delete it because life's going to throw you curveballs. Your kids are going to be sick. Meetings might pop up. But if you've got the rule that training stays on the calendar no matter what, you'll often will be amazed at the consistency that you can build out, even if it means that you shift from a 4 p.m. workout to a 6:30 workout. Training at the same time each day isn't about being obsessive. It's about being aligned with your goals, aligned with your biology, aligned with your discipline, and aligned with the person that you told yourself that you want to become. So if you made it this far, a couple things. Again, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and get first access to all of our videos. But more importantly, just know if you're loving the content of the Former Athlete Society, I run a website. It's adamringler.com. You can sign up for it. I have a free membership, premium membership, and then obviously I have a Former Athlete Society tiered membership. And that membership gets you exclusive access to all of our content, all of our videos, everything that's behind the paywall. You get one-on-one communication with me. Your questions gets answered. You get these accountability calls tailored specifically to you. So if that sounds like something you want, head over adamringler.com, sign up for a membership. I would love for you to join us there because it's a pretty awesome thing that we've been building out, and the community is only getting stronger and more, and I love it. So that said, let's move on to the next thing that I think is really important for us to understand, and that is paying for what you want. Okay, Adam, what do you mean by paying for what you want? I found you don't value what's free. You value what you pay for. So if you want to guarantee follow through, stop relying on willpower and start putting dollars behind your discipline. So let's talk about one of the most underutilized tools for behavior change, and that's spending money on your goals. And that's so true. This one hit me over the years, especially in the seasons of my life where I said I wanted to do something, but never followed through. Maybe you download a free program, or you bookmark a blog post, or you save a workout PDF thinking you're going to do it. And then crickets. But the moment that I actually dropped even $10 on a training plan, $15 a month on a nutrition app, something changed. I felt committed. I felt like I had skin in the game. And I did. I mean, let's be honest. Anyone can start a free training program. It takes zero friction, zero decision, zero commitment. And that's the problem. Because when something is free, you feel nothing when you quit it. There it is. There's no loss. There's no regret. There's no internal voice saying, you've wasted your money on this. But once money enters the equation, that stings. It hurts. Even if it's a small monthly charge, it becomes this daily reminder that you've invested in it. And for me, that's been one of the biggest levers of accountability that I can pull. So let's get super tactical about it and zoom in on the mechanics of why putting your money behind your goals actually works. So there's this principle in behavior economics called the sunk cost effect, right? The sunk cost fallacy. The idea that we're more likely to follow through with the behavior if we've already invested something into it, especially something tangible like cash. And it works because of something deeper in your psychology, loss aversion. And what I mean by this is that you'd rather avoid a loss than experience a gain. Meaning once you spend money on something, whether it's a course, a membership, or a program, you don't want that money to go to waste. You don't want to admit you didn't use what you paid for. So your brain shifts. It starts looking for ways to justify the purchase. And the easiest way to do that is simply to start using the thing repetitively. And that for me is macro factor. That's 100% macro factor. I think it's $15 a month. That's not going to break the bank for me, but it's just enough that if I want to get my money's worth, then I should probably use it, right? And I use it daily. I use it multiple times a day. I track my food. I monitor my energy balance. I analyze my macros. Keeps me sharp. The data it gives me is invaluable. And the same goes for meditation. I used to meditate for free. I would use free apps like Calm. I had a couple Headspace MP3 files I'd listen to. I'd go online, right? But the moment I invested my money into the Way app, not only do I use it more often, but I go deeper, more focused. And guess what? My meditation practice has completely changed. I'm not just opening random links. I'm stepping into a curated guided space because I've actually invested money into it. So I have this idea. When you pay, you stay. When you pay, you show up. When you pay, you stop saying, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Because every skip day feels like you're just flushing money down the toilet. And this concept even shows up in coaching. I see it all the time. Athletes who get full rides, sometimes they take it for granted. But the ones who walk on, listen, I was a walk-on athlete, right? Who pay their own way, they're often the most relentless, the most hungry, because they've sacrificed for this opportunity. And the same goes for us. We don't need more freebies. We actually need more skin in the game. So let's think about how you can take this concept and apply it in your everyday life. So pick one area of your life that you want to improve, whether that's training, nutrition, mindfulness, sleep, whatever it is. Now ask yourself, am I financially invested in this? Okay. Step 2 is this: make a small but meaningful purchase. Go buy a legit training program. And, just a heads up, I offer a lot of training programs. You can find them all right here, adamringler.com. Offers, go up to the top. There's programs. You can sign up for one there. And sign up for one. Maybe you sign up for a macro tracking app. Subscribe to a meditation service. Enroll in an online course. Something that nudges your brain out of this passive mode and into this more, I'm serious now mode. And then step 3, set a daily or weekly use it or lose it metric. For example, if you're paying $15 a month for an app, your goal is to engage with it daily. You miss 3 days in a row, that's $1.50 down the drain. Track it, feel it. That pain is motivation. You need skin in the game. Now, step 4 is powerful as well. Tell somebody. Accountability, much like these accountability calls we have, right, magnifies your investment. When you spend money, and you make it public, your odds of following through actually skyrockets. Remember, money isn't the enemy. Wasted potential is the enemy. And if a few dollars can sharpen your discipline and reinforce some habits and pull you deeper into a commitment, that's not a cost. That's a lever. You've invested in your discipline. So put your money where your goals are and then let your actions match your investment. Now, the last thing I want to talk about here, but before I do, a couple of things that I think about all the time. I get people that message me and they say, hey, Adam, I actually want to join the Former Athletes Society, but I need some more information about how to do so. How can I get a hold of you? Right here. Head over to Adam Ringler on Instagram, shoot me a direct message, and I promise you I will get you all the information that you need. That's probably the easiest way. Now, the last and final thing we're going to talk about today. If you're trying to PR when you're cutting calories, you're not hardcore. You're just setting yourself up for failure. So you got to learn when to chase the pump, not the progression. So let's talk about something that probably took me years to kind of accept in my training age, especially as somebody that's wired to push and grind and chase adaptation. And that is this. Sometimes the smartest move in your training isn't to go heavier. It's not hitting a PR. It's none of those things. It's not digging deep and forcing out that last rep at all costs. When I was in my 20s, maybe. But now that I'm closer to 40, nah, it's pulling back. It's training intelligently, not emotionally. So when I'm in a calorie deficit, much like I am now, especially towards the end of my week when my energy levels are low, you know that feeling when your glycogen is depleted, your CNS system is a little fried, sleep starts to fragment more and more, your recovery is just off. Listen, I know exactly that, right? It's tough. Now, that said, I don't force myself to chase performance in a depleted state. I turn that final lift in my training week into what I call a pump session. Now, the goal isn't to lift the heaviest weight, it isn't to hit a new rep max or rep target. It isn't to chase a heavier poundage. The goal is just to send a muscle building signal, protect my tissue, stimulate some blood flow without flirting with injury or CNS burnout, right? And here's the nuance that I think most athletes and sometimes coaches like myself, we miss during training, especially when you're in a calorie deficit and you're training for body composition. When you're deep into a cut, your priorities should shift. Your number one job isn't to get stronger. It's not to get bigger. None of those things. Yes, I would love to get leaner and bigger at the same time. But in reality, it's to preserve your lean muscle mass, to retain that neural efficiency and shed excess body fat or adipose tissue with minimal collateral damage. That's it. So trying to smash a deadlift PR on a Friday when you're 1,000 calories under your maintenance and dragging from 5 days of output is kind of like redlining your car with no engine oil. Something is going to break. I promise you that. So here's how I approach it. I keep my movement patterns the exact same as I would program on a regular lift, whether it's a hinge, a squat, a push, pull, carry, whatever it is, lower body, upper body, but I shift my intent from load to quality of contraction. I do 3 to 4 sets per my movements. I do 10 to 20 reps, just chasing a pump. I'm focused, I'm controlled, I'm intentional with a great tempo. I probably bring the weights down a little bit because my rep targets are a little bit higher. I'm chasing a pump, not a PR. And I do this for one reason, right? A pump kind of recruits some blood flow. It stimulates cellular hydration and drives nutrient delivery into the muscle. It reduces that joint stress. It supports recovery by flushing waste products. It gives me a psychological win of still showing up and executing without wrecking myself. And then maybe here's the best part. Because the nervous system isn't as taxed, I bounce back faster. I'm not limping into the next week's session, right? I get to recover and then have another good training week following my Friday training. I'm not chasing recovery all weekend long with it, right? I didn't dig myself into a hole that I have to dig myself out of. I'm aligned with my actual goal, which is fat loss with muscle retention. And we need to normalize this. You're not weak for adjusting your training. You're wise for understanding what season you're in. It's the athlete who knows when to throttle back that plays the long game. And we need to probably be a little bit more strategic with our training. So what should you do if you're in a similar phase, whether you're dieting or cutting or you're just running low on fuel at the end of the long training week? Identify your training priorities. That's step one. If you're not in a surplus or performance focused season, right? Like you're a current athlete, be honest. Like if your goal is fat loss, then your goal is fat loss. And that means your training becomes a support mechanism, not the centerpiece. Now, create a pump session protocol. Maybe you take your final lift of the week, you modify it slightly, right? That's what I do. And it seems to work for me. Same lifts, adjusted intent, 3 to 4 sets, 10 to 20 reps, something like that. Focus on the squeeze, the tempo, the mind muscle contraction, whatever you want to call it. Stop 2 to 3 reps short of failure. Don't take yourself to failure. Use machines, cables if needed, just to reduce some systemic fatigue. More importantly, this is step 3, and that's leave your ego at the door. Just because you can lift heavy doesn't mean that you should. That restraint, that's maturity. That's longevity. Now, step 4 is track how you feel. Note how your joints, your mood, your energy feels post-lift. You'll likely notice less fatigue, better sleep, faster recovery, greater adherence to your nutrition plan, whatever that might be. Because remember, if your training wrecks you, you'll probably reach for food. You'll compromise your sleep. You'll snap at your family members. Listen, those all things happen. All of that slows down fat loss and increase your injury risk. But if your training supports you, you can stay consistent. You don't win at a cut by being reckless. You win at it being ruthlessly strategic. So stop chasing hero lifts or, half a tank. Train smart, train long, and let the pump be the win for you, right? Love the pump. Go chase the pump because that's what your body needs at that moment. Now, that said, I think this is going to wrap up our accountability call for our Former Athlete Society. So I want you to leave you with this. If you're anything like me, someone who once lived a really structured life within sport, and you had the intensity of sport and a daily training environment, then you know how easy it is to fall off course when that structure disappears, right? We've all been there. But even today on this accountability call, we've taken real steps forward, right? You talked about, or you at least heard how I intentionally adjust my training at the end of the week, especially when I'm in a deficit. You heard about, I'm thinking off the top of my head here, how putting the skin in the game, putting your money behind your goals, even if it's $15 a month or something like that, it flips a psychological switch. You've been reminded that setting your training time like it's a medical appointment rewires your brain, primes your body for consistency, all of those things. If these calls, these Former Athlete Society accountability calls, they're not always about fitness. They're about momentum. They're about accountability. Because once you have that, everything in your life gets easier. So here's what I need from you this week. Pick one item from today that we discussed and then put it into action. Whether it's scheduling your training or downloading a paid app that you'll actually use, or simply just allowing yourself to adjust your training plan. Don't just be a listener. Don't just watch these videos. You have to be a doer. You have to apply it. Now, if this conversation that we're having, this, one-on-one conversation that we have, stirred something in you, I want to invite you to go deeper. So I need you to tap the like button. If that helps get this content in front of more former athletes just like you, right? Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and then obviously hit the notification bell so you never miss another episode, because I drop 2 of these a week, sometimes upwards to 3 a week. And then lastly, head over to adamringler.com, sign up, get access to the full Former Athlete Society platform that I built, the exclusive tools, the resources, the training program, the complimentary training program. You're not going to get that anywhere else. This is more than just a YouTube video. It's a movement for all of us who once trained for competition and now train for life. So thanks for showing up. Thanks for choosing to get better. And I will see you this upcoming Thursday on our Q&A. Stay strong, stay consistent, and stay accountable.